What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain West Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Doster. Got a good one for you today. I was joined by Boise State head coach Leon Rice, who previewed his team's trip out to the Maui Invitational, talked us through how his program was able to turn around the ugly start to the year with a loss to a Division II program. They've won 4 in a row. They've won a pair of close games back to back, and now they put themselves in a situation where if they go into the Maui Invitational and if they go and have some success, then they are going to be in a spot to be able to compete for a potential at-large bid, even with a loss to a Division II program on their resume. You can't change the past. The only thing you do is work to better the future, and that is where Leon Rice's head is at with this Boise State program. So let's get into that interview. Leon Rice, Boise State head coach. And now let me welcome on to the Mountain West Insider Podcast, none other than one of our favorites here at the Field of 68, Leon Rice from Boise State. Leon, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
Great to see you, Rob. Thanks so much for having me.
So you guys have managed to put together a little 4-game winning streak here. What's going well? How are you guys kind of turning this thing around? How have you gotten going on the season on the right foot?
Yeah, I mean, we started on the wrong foot
Yep.
and it just served as a wake-up call and we responded to it the right way. We practiced the right way. We learned a lot of lessons. And you're going to learn those lessons throughout the year, different kinds of lessons all the time. But every team's going through, you look all across the country,
Mm-hmm.
people they go through stuff. And the ones that learn from it, that respond to it, that, we call it the valley of death. You're going to go through some valleys of death. And the good, my example to my team a lot of times is you look at that UConn team, the first title team, I believe they lost 6 straight league games that year and then just rolled through the NCAA tournament. So they obviously got better in those losses. It probably was the toughest time, ever to go through that. But they came out on the other end better. And ours was just a mini valley there, but we came out a lot better because of it.
Yeah, I think the thing that really impressed me was the last 2 games that you had were close games, just like that first game that you played, right? And you found a
Right.
way to be able to go out and win against 2 good programs in Montana State and
Right.
Wichita State. And I think that says something that the confidence is still there, the execution is still there. I think that says something about the group that you have that after that loss, it wasn't still in their head 2 weeks later.
No, but we also learned, you're only going to be as good as your defense and your rebounding. And when we've won the league and contend for titles, we're right there as one of the best defensive teams in this league. And in this league, that's saying something because we got some great coaches and great defensive teams. And I know when I say that, I know who comes to mind right away. And so we weren't even close to up to our standard defensively to start the year, and we've made a huge jump. We're not there yet. We haven't arrived yet, obviously, but we're heading in a great direction. I mean, we held 2 really good offensive teams in the
Mhm.
50s, and we couldn't have done that a month ago. We couldn't have done that 3 weeks ago. And I mean, you looked at Montana State and you looked at Wichita State, and Wichita State was averaging 91 points a game. And when you watch them on tape, you're like, oh my gosh, and for us to hold them in the 50s, with everything that was involved was pretty impressive. Especially, I think it was even more impressive when I went back and looked at the film because I think they're going to be a really good team.
So one of the interesting things I think about when teams like yours have returnees and continuities is that it's not just bringing guys back. You're bringing guys back and putting them in different roles. And Andrew
Right.
Meadow was the guy that I kind of think about there, right? Like he went from being Tyson's sidekick kind of to now he is the first name on that scouting report that everyone's going to have to deal with. How are you helping them adjust to maybe playing these new roles, to stepping into a different kind of spot when it comes to what you're expected to do within this team?
Yeah, and he's really evolving, and I'm really proud of his development because there's things he could do really well, but he was almost a 2-trick pony, not just a one trick, but he was almost now he's becoming more of a complete basketball player. And that's showing up in his numbers, as far as how efficient he is. I mean, he's scoring a lot, but his efficiency has gone way up, and it's because he's taking what we're doing in film, he's taking what we're doing in practice, and it's making him a lot better.
This is the first time since I believe the COVID season that you have not had Tyson Degenhart out there on the roster. One, is it a little bit lonely not having him around the program right now? Like, are you able to, have you adjusted to the fact that there's no Tyson around?
Yeah, and the players are probably a little bit, but I promised him I because in the summer when I was first getting dealing with my Tyson withdrawals, uh, the players were probably like, "Oh, here we go, another Tyson story." But the great thing about Tyson is the players. There's no jealousy. There's no because they respect what he does and they
Mhm.
respect how he was an everyday guy and a total package guy, and there's a lot to learn from that. It's what we want to be able to teach these guys, all of them that go on. It's what makes them when they go through this program. That's a big part of the development is just being a everyday guy, a total package guy. That means you're going to class, you're trying hard in school, you're everything you do, you show up consistently and you work and you get better every day, not just, hey, I'm going to go play the games and be rise to the occasion. No, you have a guy like Tyson, and that showed up because I would go to the gym and he would get 18 and 8 every single game.
Mhm.
That was his minimum, especially down the stretch, his last 20 games or whatever. But to have that consistency is the most important lesson I think that these guys learn from Tyson, and that that I hope they take from this program.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at the most successful programs, not just teams, successful programs that do it year over year over year,
Right,
they're player led. It's not something where the coach is establishing
right.
that. It is the players in the program that establish that culture. So my question is, who's kind of taking over that lead and taking over that role and setting the tone for, hey, we're getting in the gym early. This is when we're going to get shots up. This is when we're weightlifting. You better show up. You better not dog it in practice today. Who's kind of taking over
Uh,
that mantle?
well, Javen's really stepped up and was our is our voice because he's got a great voice and he's a really smart guy. He's got a really high social IQ, emotional maturity. He can talk to guys in the right way because you know, there's it's a knack. I mean, you can't just yell at a guy and well, I told him and he didn't listen. There's an art and there's a empathy that with each one of your teammates that you know where they are in their headspace to be able to help them and Javen really has that and so his that's probably the most important thing that we learn early is like his leadership can't be contingent on how he's playing
Mhm.
because he didn't have a very good first game and it affected who he was with the rest of the guys. And I think he really embraced that, learned that, and saw how important that other stuff is that he brings to this team.
Yeah, well, I'm coaching my son's fourth grade travel team right now, and I can tell you right now that 10-year-olds dealing with that, it sounds like it doesn't really get much better when they let a mistake kind of affect the next four plays, huh?
Right. And I think that's one of the most important things that we have to teach guys. And that's a common thread. I watch a lot of other coaches. I listen to a lot of things, and the great coaches really teach guys to do that. That your circumstances don't dictate your attitude, and don't it's your responses. And you know, as coaches, we want to give these lifelong lessons that help people throughout their life, and sometimes those lessons kick in 10 years after they're gone. And as a coach, that's one of the most rewarding things and the coolest thing about me being able to stay somewhere 16 years. Those messages I got, from former players, when you pass milestones as a coach, they make you videos and stuff, but they always reference those lessons you gave them that they maybe didn't understand then, but made them better down the road. And that's the most important thing is that, hey, life's going to throw some hard things at you, and you got to have some resolve, some toughness, and the proper response. And that's what our program really works
Yeah,
hard at teaching.
it's really hard to get through to people that are, when it comes to games or wins and losses, right? Your shot goes in or it doesn't go in.
Right.
It's very hard to drive home the concept that the process has to be better. If you run a perfect set and get a wide open shot and it doesn't go down, that is a great possession. The shot just didn't go in. If
Right.
you get down and you have to throw up a heave over your shoulder with 1 second left in the shot clock and it goes in, that's not a good possession. You just got
Yeah.
lucky. And it's hard to
Right.
be able to drive home the miss was the better possession than the make sometimes, right? Does that make
Right. And
sense?
yeah, absolutely. And that's what showed up in our last game. Our first two threes weren't very good. We kind of a little thirsty. and but the excitement of a big game and that kind of stuff. I get it. Players do that. Our next five were great shots, and we missed them all. So we were 0 for 7 to start that game. And there was zero concern with me about our offense at that point because I'm like, hey, these guys are good players and good shooters. And if we keep working it that way with no panic, then we're sure enough, we made 7 out of our next 10 threes because we just kept sawing wood and got those good shots for each other. And then, we shot 43% from three that game. So that exactly right. That is the lesson. That's a hard lesson to teach.
So you got a couple new pieces coming in that are playing real serious minutes for you and having some success. Dylan Andrews and Drew Fielder. I've had them for I believe about 16% of your full season schedule here with 5 games. What have you seen out of them? What have they kind of provided? And has there been anything that's come out so far in these games where you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that he was going to do that.
Yeah, the experience is so valuable. And especially experience when they were in good programs and good coaches, both of them, coming from great programs, great coaches, playing great competition. And so it doesn't that they're comfortable in that stuff because there's always an adjustment for guys that are coming from different levels. And, there's always adjustment. There's an adjustment for those two guys learning our system and doing
Mhm.
all that and playing together. But what I'm seeing is every time out, it's a little better and they're a little more comfortable with what we do. And they're kind of settling into who they can be in this program. And an example is Dylan. Last year he shot 24 free throws all year. I think in the last 2 games, he shot 15 free throws because he's a guy that can get in the lane and make good things happen. And I think he's just scratching the surface of how good that's going to be for us as we go forward. And Drew's got a lot of scoring ability, a lot of uh, where he can go get a bucket when you need one, and and so he's settling in, and our guys are settling into understanding that and how we get him the ball most effectively, and how we space around him, all those things that go into when you're a good scorer that you need.
So you have the loss to start the season, right? And that's something where I feel like everybody, they got their jokes off. Everyone was kind of, you say what you say on social media, and I'm sure a lot of your players saw that. How hard was it to kind of get them to come in and buy back in, or was that something where it's like they saw all this, they realized that they messed up, and it's like, all right, it's time to go to work, man, coach. Whatever you got to say, let's go.
Yeah, but like you just said, it goes back to them, you know, because we had some stuff going on that week, and there was all these outside factors that they didn't own it enough, and they didn't like take charge of it enough to not let that happen, and they learned that, and because they I don't want to have to fix everything, and I can't fix everything. It has, like you said, a player-led team, and that's when we've been great. Yeah, there's times when coaches, yeah, you got to step in and you got to do a lot of that stuff, and you got to show them the standards and the expectations. But it's ultimately so you can teach them their responsibility in it. And when they take responsibility and they take ownership and it's their team, that's when you start to take off. And that's what we're working on every day. And as coaches, we want to fix everything. That's what we do. And sometimes it's faster that way, but it's not more effective. And so I gotta, as a coach, you got to keep your eyes on that and teach them. Okay, my ownership in it is I didn't give them enough responsibility in it, and so I wasn't doing a good job of that. So, uh, But then what you saw, like what I said, then they stepped up. Javen's leadership became elite. Our practices became better because of them. And, even those new guys, they've been there, done that. Like Drew started practicing better when he started pouring it into his teammates and trying to get them to practice harder. It made him practice harder. Those kind of things that we needed to do.
All right. Well, you got the Maui coming up here. You have, I believe it's USC in the first game, but Texas is out there, NC State's out there. You got a chance here to be able to really put a statement on this resume. What's the most important thing for your team heading to Maui?
Well, the most important thing is now you're going on the road. Some of your practice will be on the road. You got to do things on the fly, 3 games in 3 days. Our practices and our prep have been terrific the last 2.5 weeks. Okay. Now the circumstances change, the distractions change, the beauty of Maui. Hey, we go there, enjoy it, but we have to have that same resolve and that resolve to get better. I mean, we're flying out, you know, let's worry about the flight when the flight is here. Let's worry about getting better at practice here today and those kind of things. So we got to be able to do what we do under all kinds of different circumstances. And I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, it's hard to say, hey, we're going to Hawaii for a
Yeah.
basketball game, guys. We're playing
Yeah.
basketball out there. We're
Oh
not
yeah.
just going to Maui.
And you get over there and it's just, I mean, it's the most, I've been fortunate because we felt, at Gonzaga, I was there 3 times and I fell in love with the place and myself and Coach Few and Tommy. And we go back there almost every year and have a reunion. And 'cause it's the neatest place. And I want our guys to enjoy it. Doesn't mean that
Mhm.
we watch the sunset and we can do that. And then we can, open the file on the opponent, open the file on practice. You got to kind of compartmentalize it a little bit. Like I said, but we want, everywhere we go, everything we do, we want to enjoy it together.
Yep.
And, but I told them, hey, we won that tournament, and that was my fondest memory of the whole thing. So, it's a great experience, but it's a tough experience. I mean, you know, when you go to a tournament like this, there's great teams. Look what UConn did last year,
Mhm.
0-3. So, these things you're going to play really, really good teams, and you're going to have to play an A+ game to win one.
Yep. Well, Leon, appreciate you being here, man.